Good morning, brothers, sisters, and siblings in the struggle. Welcome to another edition of CWA Our Power Radio Show, where we lift up the leaders, the laborers, and the legends who have paved the way for justice on the job and dignity in our communities. You are listening to KYOK 1140 AM and the all-new 106.5 FM. If you're visiting the beautiful city of Houston, you can take us with you on kyokradio.org. Listen and subscribe to us every Thursday morning, 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, right here on kyokradio.org or your favorite podcast player, CWA Strong app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, iHeartRadio, or Pod Chaser. We have a phenomenal show lined up with you for you this morning with Micaiah Jones, Tay Akins, and our guests that are here today. We're going to be focusing on the middle class jobs under attack, constituency groups, the Union Buster of the Week, honoring leadership under 40, and building the movement. And by all means, we can never leave out Tea with Tay. Our union brothers, sisters, and siblings on the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette have been outside for 30 months, well, actually 31 months, striking on the picket lines. And yet, while they're striking, they're still churning out the news with facts for you and me that show our support to them by making sure we subscribe to unionprogress.com. Once you subscribe to this free publication, how about going over and donating to their strike fund at cwa.org/PPG-donate. And I just heard someone shout, when we fight, we win. Long before Valerie Jarrett became a senior advisor to President Obama, her family's legacy was already etched into the American history, not only in buildings, but in acts of bold resistance. Her father, Dr. James Bowman Jr., was a pioneering pathologist, geneticist, and professor whose brilliance in medicine was matched only by his courage to defy injustice. Born in 1923, Dr. Bowman graduated from Howard University, served as a medical officer in the U.S. Army, and became the first tenured African-American professor in the University of Chicago's Department of Medicine. He specialized in hematology and genetics, contributing to critical advancements in sickle cell disease and population genetics. Yet, despite his groundbreaking credentials, he faced Jim Crow-style racism at home. When he arrived for his residency at St. Luke's Hospital in Chicago, he was told he was not allowed to enter through the front door because he was Black. But Dr. Bowman was not raised to back down. "I'm going to be a physician here," he said. "I'm coming in the front door." And he did. On that first day, he walked through the front entrance, shocking those who assumed he would follow segregation's rules. But the next morning, Black nurses, orderlies, administrators, and hospital staff waited at the door, and together they walked in with him. That moment, simple yet profound, integrated the front door of the hospital and forever changed its culture. This act of courage was no accident. Chicago, a city shaped and built in part by Black labor and ingenuity, still grapples with entrenched segregation and discrimination. Ironically, Dr. Bowman's great-grandfather, Robert Robertson Taylor, was the first Black American graduate of MIT and the country's first accredited Black architect, who contributed to landmark designs and the building of institutions across the nation. Yet generations later, his grandson faced barriers just to enter a hospital. Dr. Bowman's story is more than a footnote in civil rights history. It's a blueprint for courage. His stand wasn't just symbolic. It saved lives, opened doors for future Black medical professionals, and challenged systemic racism embedded in healthcare. As Valerie Jarrett reflected, his attitude was clear. He was going to be a physician, and no door would stop him. This kind of leadership, principled, courageous, and collective, is a lesson for today's leaders. In early 2025, when one member of Congress took a brave stand to confront lies long before it was popular or widely supported, he faced ridicule and isolation. Imagine the power and progress that could have followed if others had stood united from the beginning, just as the hospital staff stood with Dr. Bowman. Courage is contagious. Dr. Bowman's legacy challenges all of us to ask, are we willing to walk through the front door when it most matters? Are we willing to stand firm and bring others with us? Because progress is never given, it is demanded and earned through brave, unwavering action. Today, as Chicago and America as a whole continues to wrestle with the legacies of segregation, inequality, and systemic racism, Dr. Bowman's story shines as a beacon of hope and a call to action. It reminds us that change begins with one person willing to break the rules and lead the way. Let us honor this legacy, not just with words, but with deeds. Stand up, speak out, walk boldly, and through your own doors of injustice. Because when one person stands up, others will follow. This has been your CWA Our Power Human Rights Spotlight. Stay strong, stay union, stay human. You're listening to KYOK 1140 AM and the all-new 106.5 FM. If you're on the go, you can take us with you by visiting kyokradio.org. Tune in every Thursday, 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific on kyokradio.org. The CWA Strong app or your preferred podcast player, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, iHeartRadio, or Podchaser. Search for CWA Hour of Power on your favorite podcast player. Next up, we're going to be talking about middle-class jobs under attack. So we already know that this mic stays hot and the truth stays louder. And today's segment, we're going to be talking about the middle class jobs under attack because that's exactly what's happening. For generations, federal and state jobs have been solid steps toward the American dream with fair wages, retirement, healthcare, and dignity, especially for Black workers and marginalized communities, working women, veterans, LGBTQIA+, and rural communities. These jobs help create the most inclusive middle class in American history. But now, guess what? Those jobs and everything they represent are being strategically dismantled.
That's right. Regarding public sector jobs have been a game changer for communities who were locked out of private sector opportunities. And these aren't just jobs, they're safety nets, ladders, and lifelines. Right now, nearly 1/3 of public sector workers, which are 32.5%, are union members. And that's compared to just over 6% in the private sector. That's not a coincidence, that's a target.
And the target is painted by something called Project 2025, a massive policy plan being pushed by some of the most powerful conservative forces in the country. The aim? Erase labor rights, silence unions, privatize public sectors, privatize public services, strip job protections, and we'll break it all the way down. Let's be real, this is dangerous. Project 2025, a direct threat to working people. First, eliminating public sector unions, teachers, sanitation workers, postal employees, healthcare staff, gone. And remember, public sector unions make up nearly half of all union members nationwide. That's a direct hit to working class power.
And I really hope people are listening to us on this because all of these jobs are being eliminated and they are coming after the middle class. And I promise you, one thing will lead to another. The second thing that, and following up on Tay, is letting states opt out of federal labor laws. If they succeed, we'll be left with a patchwork of weak worker protections, and that means no guaranteed minimum wage, no overtime rights, and no organizing protections under the NLRA or FLSA. That's not reform, that's regression.
And they're even trying to ban things like card check union recognition and eliminate exclusive representation, which makes it nearly impossible for workers to come together and to fight for better conditions. So obviously the same old divide and conquer tactics. And the reintroduction of Schedule F, which is a plan that would reclassify tens of thousands of federal workers as at-will employees. So no civil service protections, no due process, no job security. That's political loyalty over professional merit. And, they say we're supposed to be a merit-based community. What happens to the meritocracy there?
And let's not forget, Project 2025 would also weaken National Labor Relations Board by slashing its enforcement powers. The one agency that protects your rights to organize, gone limp of purpose.
And here's the kicker. They want to narrow overtime eligibility as well. And so millions of workers who depend on time and a half just to survive left behind again. This is not just bad policy. This is social engineering. They're trying to build a country where only the privileged have power and the rest of us stay silent, scared, and struggling.
And we can't let that happen, right? We can't just slogan it out. We can't just chit chat about it. We can't just post about it and hashtag it. We've got to fight it out. And that means, organizing, educating, agitating, and showing up for each other, and not just when it's convenient, but when it's crucial. And that's right now. These threats aren't random. They're coordinated and they hit the same communities that they have always been under attack. So Black workers, brown workers, LGBTQIA plus workers, disabled workers, immigrants, single moms, rural towns. These fights have and always will be intersectional. And we have to be bold about it and we have to do something about it now.
And I know many people are listening and they're probably listening to what we're saying today. And they're saying to themselves, this sounds like my job. This sounds like my mama's pension. And they're absolutely right. You're absolutely correct. This is personal. And middle class jobs are under attack. And when the middle class goes, so does democracy. Because without economic stability, we're too tired to vote, too stressed to fight, and too scattered to stand.
Oh, but not us. Not today. Not this union. We're rising the alarm. We're raising our concerns, our voices. We're raising generations that refuse to sit down and shut up while corporations, extremists rewrite the rules.
You're absolutely correct, Tay. And the middle class didn't build itself. We did. We did it with strikes, we did it with solidarity, and we did it with sacrifice. And that's how we'll defend it. And not only that, we'll also build it with constituency groups as well. So if you're ready to stand up with your union, stand up with your coworkers, stand up with your community, because they may have Project 2025, but we've got Power 365. This has been our Power Radio Show. Until next time, educate, agitate, organize, and keep that fire lit. Solidarity is forever. You're listening to KYOK 1140 AM and the all new 106.5 FM. If you're on the go, you can take us with you by visiting kyokradio.org. Listen and subscribe to us every Thursday morning, 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific on kyokradio.org, the CWA Strong app, or your preferred podcast player, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, iHeartRadio, and Podchaser. Search for CWA Hour of Power on your favorite podcast player. Up next is Micaiah Jones with constituency groups, the Pulse, the Power, and the People.
Yeah, so you just heard them. Today we're going to talk about constituency groups and not just what they are, but what they mean, why they exist, and what they built, and why you need to be in the room.
So constituency groups weren't created for division. And let me just say this one more time. Constituency groups were not created for division. They were created because people were being divided out, locked out, left behind. But these spaces changed the game.
So constituency groups are the conscience of the labor movement. They are the identity-based organizing spaces that center workers whose voices have been silenced or sidelined for too long. Black workers, Latin workers, women, LGBTQIA plus folks, Asian Pacific Islanders, Indigenous people, and young people.
You're so right, Tay. And CWA recognizes the truth. Justice isn't genetic. Equity takes intention. And that's why we proudly organize through groups like A. Philip Randolph Institute, APRI, Coalition of Black Trade Unionists, CBTU, Pride at Work, Labor Council for Latin American Advancement, LACLA, Asian Pacific American Labor Alliance, APLA, Coalition of Labor Union Women, CLU, CWA Next Gen. All of these are so important.
Each group is a firebrand, a frontline, a space where culture meets cause, where workers don't have to explain who they are to fight for what they need. Our
And let's,
struggles built this movement.
and let's be real. This didn't start yesterday. Constituency organizing is a labor tradition. Think about the Pullman porters. They were Black men led by A. Philip Randolph, who didn't just demand better wages, they forced the New Deal to see Black labor. And that was constituency organizing before it even had a name. And
Women.
Blue, that brought breast cancer awareness and childcare into union health plans. And that's right. These weren't extras. They were wins made by women for women.
LACLA, APALA have organized across borders, fighting anti-immigration bills, pushing for language justice, protecting workers from deportation and abuse. Pride at Work stood in solidarity when LGBTQIA plus workers were being fired for simply existing. And now they help lead the change for inclusive contract language.
And let's name the history. Some of these groups were born during Jim Crow, when union halls were segregated and labor didn't always look like solidarity for everyone. These spaces were never about exclusion, they were about survival. But even then, allies were welcome, and they still are. And let's talk CWA specific. Constituency groups within CWA have done game changing work. Next Gen mobilized thousands of young workers during the strike for our rights campaign. CBTU and APRI, they led voter outreach in marginalized communities across the South, especially in voter suppression states. Pride at Work helped secure inclusive health care and strong anti-discrimination clauses in contracts. And then LACLA. LACLA pushed for Spanish language organizing tools, helping grow membership in immigrant dense sectors. And then CLU, champion paid family leave and reproductive justice protections in our contracts.
These aren't side hustles. These are life-saving, job-changing, culture-shifting wins. And CWA constituency groups are leading them.
And right now, constituency groups are pushing back against attacks on DEI, voting rights, trans rights, and workers' rights. And they're not doing it without style, strategy, and solidarity. So CBTU and APRI are building labor to the ballot campaigns. Pride at Work CWA is fighting book bans, anti-trans laws, and winning queer protections on the job. Next Gen is going viral, organizing on TikTok, Discord, and digital platforms. Apala and LACLA are uniting for environmental justice and against anti-Asian hate. And CLU is deep in the fight for reproductive rights, marching with nurses, teachers, and tech workers.
And this is modern day unionism. This is what real solidarity looks like: intersectional, intergenerational, and unapologetically loud.
If you're ever asked, where do I belong in this union? The answer is right here in a constituency group with people who share your values, your culture, your vision for justice.
And guess what? Start a chapter in your local. Join the movement that's happening right now. Because if we don't build these spaces, the system will erase them.
And this is how we build power that listens, power that includes, and power that wins.
So join your local Next Gen, CBTU, CLU, LACLA, APRI, Apollo, or Pride at Work. And if your local doesn't have one, start one. You don't need permission. You just need people. Because constituency groups aren't a special interest. We are the interest that saves the movement. And Errol, I really want you to stop trying to do both of our jobs today.
I digress. So that's all for this edition of CWA Our Power Radio Show. But this conversation isn't over. It's just getting started. Join the constituency group, build the union we deserve, and power to the people. Up next is the Union Buster of the Week.
Oh, can I speak now, Mr. Boss Man?
Go right ahead.
Okay, good morning, everybody. And Timmia couldn't be with us today, so I'm going to be delivering the Union Buster of the Week to you. And today's Union Buster of the Week is none other than eBay, serving corporate greed with the side of intimidation. So eBay has officially hit rock bottom and started digging. Just minutes after abruptly announcing the closure of its TCG Player Authentication Center in Syracuse, eBay escalated its war on workers by deploying a private army of unidentified security guards to stalk, harass, and physically intimidate members of TCG Union CWA Local 1123. The company's goal is clear as day: bust the union and silence its workers. So they deployed security guards to stalk us immediately after letting us know we were losing our jobs. This is psychological warfare, said Zach Freeman. And here's what eBay really thinks about their workers. The workers were followed into break rooms and restrooms. Security used physical force and made violent threats. Misogynistic slurs poisoned the workplace. And a union member was physically grabbed, harassed, and falsely accused of trespassing and then placed on administrative leave. All this after more than 600 days of bargaining. So instead of showing up at the table, eBay slammed the door and then locked it behind a wall of intimidation. And let's be clear, this is corporate terrorism, this is union busting, and this is illegal. And we refuse to accept eBay's corporate terrorism and contempt for its workforce, said CWA District 1 Vice President Dennis Traynor. So eBay's message is organized and will punish you. Our response is union strong, always. So TCG Union CWA Local 1123 isn't backing down, and neither are we. We will meet eBay's cowardice with solidarity. We will meet their union busting with legal firepower, and we'll meet their lies with truth and action. So stand with the workers who built TCG Player at cwa.org/TCG Player. eBay, you've officially been named Union Buster of the Week. Congratulations, this is the only recognition you've earned. This has been your Union Buster of the Week, and back to you, Errol.
Thank you so much. You're listening to KYOK 1140 AM and the all-new 106.5 FM. If you're on the go, you can take us with you on kyokradio.org. Listen and subscribe to us every Thursday morning, 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific on kyokradio.org. The CWA Strong app or your preferred podcast player. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, iHeartRadio, Podchaser. Search for CWA Hour of Power on your favorite podcast player. Today, we're spotlighting a powerful young brother who's been shaking up the labor movement from the grassroots to the global stage. That's right. If you've ever heard the phrase, the movement ain't just for the season, you're about to understand why. We are honored to welcome Timmia Melvin, a young, dynamic, and unapologetic leader under 40 who's not just participating in the labor movement, but redefining it. Timmia serves as the chair of the CBTU Under 40 Leaders Committee and is a proud member of CWA Local 6400 in Missouri. He served as Secretary Treasurer, chaired the the Civil Rights and Equity Committee, and has been in the streets during the Ferguson uprising, calling for justice after the death of Michael Brown. And just recently, get this, CBTU President Terry Melvin presented Timmia with the prestigious CBTU Award of Distinction. Now, that's no small feat. This award recognizes industry leaders and change makers who have made a tangible impact in their fields. And let me tell you, Domini's resume speaks for volumes. From labor-sponsored Juneteenth parades to mentoring union youth across the U.S., Canada, and even Nigeria, this brother is international, y'all. So without any further delay, Domini, welcome to the CWA Hour Power Radio Show. We are proud to have you with us this morning.
Yes, thank you,
So,
CWA family.
so let's start from the top. How did you feel when you learned you were selected for the CBTU Award of Distinction? Were you surprised, overwhelmed, or what?
Well, I was very surprised. If you remember the picture when Beyonce was surprised she was to get her award, it was very much the kind of moment for me. Like I was shocked, like I couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe my name was called. So, but yeah, I was shocked and overwhelmed. And it's still kind of setting in actually. So.
All right. So, what does receiving the award mean to you, especially as a young Black labor leader under 40? So, talk to us about what this moment represents.
Well, when I received the award, I definitely pay respects to the late great president, CBTU President Emeritus, Mr. William Bill Lucy, and to our under 40 leaders, and basically having to serve as a bridge between the older generation and our legacy members and the under 40 leaders, and now also the youth too. And it also took me then a journey because when you're doing this work and it's from your heart, you don't really pay attention to who gets the credit. You don't pay attention to the lives you touch. But getting the award actually took me down memory lane of all the fights and the things that I had to go through to get to this point. But yeah.
You've led youth initiative, community cleanups, Juneteenth parades. Looking back, which of the efforts do you feel had the biggest impact or got you noticed for this honor?
Um, One thing that I always revert back to is what started me in the movement, and that was the unfortunate murder of Mike Brown. And the AFL-CIO came to St. Louis, and I was a part of that group of voicing how labor did not was slow to act when it came to Black issues, and which commission report came out of that, and a lot of the changes that you see in union leadership across the country and the AFL-CIO locals came from that report, which a lot of people don't know, but that is one of the most impactful moments. And in addition to the Juneteenth, first ever labor-sponsored Juneteenth um, event or celebration in St. Louis.
Now, one of the things that I have noticed about you, Dominic, is that you are a strong voice for mentorship. Can you share how others have helped shape your journey and how you're now lifting up the next generation?
Oh yes, and I always give credit to my local president, CWA 6400, Natasha Pickens. She's the one that brought me to the movement. She made sure I was a union member the first day I became a state worker full time. And I always give her the credit for that. And then my mentors, Mr. Lou Moy, 60-year plus member of UAW, and Clark, CWA President Clark Cummins. They really saw a light in me before I seen it in myself. And with their support and resources behind me, I definitely wouldn't be where I am without their support.
So, Domini, I want to say you've connected young unionists across international borders. I want to know, how do those global partnerships in places like Nigeria and Canada inform your vision of labor solidarity?
One thing I always tell people is one thing that binds us together is our struggle. And no matter where you are, there's worker right struggle, and no matter what country you live in, what state you live in, what city you live in, there's always something to fight for and something that you can achieve. And also in the spirit of President Emeritus Bill Lucy, he kind of like led that efforts definitely with the South Africa apartheid fight, and then continue in Nigeria and Brazil and Colombia and Morocco, Canada, and which is President Terry is currently doing the same thing. So I feel myself leading in their footsteps. So yeah.
So, Dominic, what's next for you? I mean, you have gotten this prestigious award. How is this going to push your goals forward? And what can we expect from Dominic Melvin in the future?
Most definitely organizing some more CBTU chapters across the country, not just Virginia, but making sure that this organization strives and thrives for 50 plus more years, and that we have solid chapters in other countries too, where we're building solidarity across the globe and definitely working solidarity here in the States.
Wonderful, wonderful. I don't think we're going to be hurting for strong activists. I'm always watching the young activists across the country, and so we thank you today for joining us, Dominic. Your story reminds us that leadership is not about age. It's about action. It's about wisdom. It's about vision and the courage to speak truth to power. The CBTU Award of Distinction is not just a recognition. It's a reflection of the work you've poured into this movement. And we see you, we honor you for all that you are doing.
And
And
we are
so,
following your lead from Ferguson to St. Louis, from Missouri to Nigeria. We're building a bridge. You are a builder of bridges, a mentor, a bold voice for justice. And we want to congratulate you once again and a million times more.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
now we're going just a little bit deeper and we're going to start talking about building a movement. And we'll keep Dominic with us and bring on another incredible voice and force in the labor world, and that is Nikki Robinson, who's been organizing, mobilizing, and making serious waves. Stick around for that, so don't you dare go away. You are listening to CWA Radio.org. We're going to be talking about building the movement, the birth of CBTU Richmond. So here we are. We're honored to have two of the most dynamic leaders, Dominic Melvin and Nikki Robinson, who are on the front lines of launching, or have launched, I should say, a new chapter of the Coalition of Black Trade Unionists in Richmond, Virginia. And so they're here today to share what inspired them, how they organized, and why building a strong CBTU chapter makes matters for the Black workers and unions across the region, all marginalized communities. They're here to talk about it today. And so this is a powerful conversation about leadership, solidarity, and creating real change. So let's get into it. Welcome to the show, Nikki.
Hey, good morning. Glad to be here.
All right, so let's get on into it. Dominic, we left off with you talking about leadership under 40. So what inspired you to get involved with CBTU?
Well, when I seen the power of Black working people, especially in unions, and the change that came from that, especially for a strong chapter. I came from the St. Louis chapter, and the St. Louis chapter is one of the first chapters of CBTU, has been here over 50 years. So they just have a
Mhm.
long history and stamp in St. Louis. When it comes to Black issues, Black worker issues, they come to CBTU. Legislators, community leaders, they come to CBTU for whether it's volunteers, whether it's to get the word out to the Black community, canvassing, all those type of things. So
Okay. And Nikki, what motivated you to help charter a chapter or support others in doing so?
Um, I really just thought it was a great opportunity to bring something one locally. This type of organization, it creates a space where Black workers can come together. We can support each other, have each other's back, networking. So it just was time that we needed to have something more locally.
Okay. And either one of you asked, when I ask this question, either one of you can answer this. How has CBTU shaped your personal or professional journey as a Black trade unionist?
You can go ahead, sister.
Okay. I'd say it gives us a voice. Um, it was one of those things. It just let us know really the power that we had. I mean, I'm a part of other unions and kind of follow the flow of that, but it's like, you know what, we have a voice and we need to be heard.
So, Nikki, was there a specific moment or issue that made you say we need a CBTU chapter here in Richmond, Virginia?
So yes, I'd say this. So last year, 2024, was the first time I had attended a CBTU convention. It was the first time that I knew anything about CBTU. And so when I had to do it, I had to register, and I had to register in Washington, D.C. That was the closest place. And I was like, okay, maybe they just do this on a regional or more popular cities. But then when I realized, oh, I don't have to travel all the way to DC. Oh, we can have something more locally and take care of different activities locally. Yeah, I was all about it.
Okay. All right. Dominic, what does CBTU mean to you personally and politically?
It's a powerhouse. It's a powerhouse that can't be stopped. And the more solidarity that we build with our unions and support that we get from our unions, the more power that we build. Especially not just as Black unionists, but also just the labor movement as a whole. As CBTU pushes for solidarity and workers' rights, the rest of the labor movement comes with us. So, yeah, and we're a powerhouse.
Yeah. Now I know Dominic has been around a long time in CBTU, and Dominic, and I just want you to let the people know everybody is welcome at CBTU. So will you talk on that just a minute for me?
Yes, and because a lot of people, even starting the chapter here, a lot of people, like you said earlier in your segment, people think that constituency groups are here to divide, and I have to have that conversation, and sometimes hard conversations, to let people know we are here to do the very opposite, and that's to bring people together. And since being here, like a lot of our unions operate in silos. So when they see CBTU at every union event, they're like, oh, they support us too.
Hmm.
So seeing that solidarity amongst workers, whether it's your fight or not, like CBTU kind of leads the charge in that.
All right. So let's get down to it. I want to know, Nikki, what were the first steps you took once you decided to start a chapter?
So with this one, I mean, I really have to kind of start from the beginning. That was actually meeting Domini. I met him at the very first conference convention that I attended. He mentioned that he was, coming to the local area, and it was like, we needed it, and we kind of
Hmm.
put the people together and made it happen. So Domini was the start of it all. He was the
Hmm.
first steps.
Okay. So how did you guys get into really starting this chapter? What roles do you play currently within CBTU locally or nationally?
So, to start any chapter, like most constituency groups, you need representation from 5 unions and at least 25 members. And when I came here, what we did by way of my mentor, Mr. Lou Moy, he makes sure he reached out to international union leadership and let them know we're trying to start a chapter here in Richmond, Virginia area. And can you sponsor at least 5 members? So that's how we got our 25 members off the bat. And then while we was trying to organize, and we are actually rechartering the Richmond Central Virginia chapter. It was a chapter here before. So we
Okay.
stayed on the shoulders of our President Emeritus Sherwood Branch, who was also a CWA member. He was the president of the previous charter chapter that was chartered in 95, actually. And in doing that, we also helped charter a Hampton Roads chapter closer to the East Coast and Virginia Beach. So we chartered both at the same time
Oh,
by working with those.
congratulations.
Thank you. And we're working on the third, Southwestern Virginia too. But in the process of us gathering those unions and those 25 members, now the Hampton Roads chapter actually got 40 members. So it just shows you the power of CBTU and yeah.
Okay. Now, it sounds like both of you guys are doing so much. Now, I know this is going to be a off-topic question, but with you guys staying so busy and doing so many things, how are you taking care of yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually with all of this work that we do?
So do you want to go first?
I'm still trying to figure it out. I mean, it's not enough hours in the day, but I make it happen. But no, I mean, you've got to
Okay.
plan some time for yourself. I mean, even if it's an
Mhm.
hour or so. I was told before I'm a stickler on time. So if I can at least plan me, a little me time, but yeah, make it happen.
Right.
Yes.
Especially
And
in this month of June being Mental Awareness Month as well. Go ahead, Dominic. I'm sorry.
yeah, and I was gonna piggyback off my sister. You have to make time for self-care and whatever that looks like for you, whether it's prayer, meditation, taking a step back from everything, taking a walk, whatever that case is. And for me, I turn my phone off. It goes on do not disturb after 9 o'clock. That is my time. Like you have me from the time I wake up until 9 o'clock to actually whatever you want to. But after 9, and I had to establish that because I have experienced burnout, being an office manager, secretary, treasurer, doing CBTU, constituency groups, all that. Like I experienced burnout, and that's something that, like a defense mechanism, I had to establish from within myself. Is
Mhm.
like I have to take that time, and yeah.
All right. Last question for you guys is this right here. What advice would you give someone trying to build a CBTU chapter?
Um,
Oh,
I gotta say, and actually, what Dominique had kind of mentioned on it before. One, I'd say, get your paperwork together. Make sure you have the right people. Like you mentioned, there are the qualifiers. 5 different
Mhm.
unions, minimum of 25 people. You've got to have regular meetings. You have to be consistent. I mean, it doesn't all come together in the one day. It's just being consistent. So yeah. And with that being said, we're always looking for new members. So for those that are listening,
yes.
that's in the Central Virginia area, you can join.
That's right. Plug them.
Y- Yes, and I would say you, and like my mentor told me, you need five, at least always five committed people to work with that's going to be there no matter what happens. You need to start, you need your core five, and then I would say be prepared for conversations where people don't are not going to always be welcoming of a CBTU chapter, and you got to be prepared for those hard conversations.
Okay. All right, guys, thank you so much. That wraps up today's segment of Building the Movement, the birth of the CBTU Richmond chapter. A huge thank you to Domini and Nikki for sharing their insights and their passion with us. Remember, the strength of our unions depend on active, empowered members who organize with purpose and vision. And if you're in Richmond or beyond, consider how you can support or get involved with CBTU and other labor justice efforts. You're listening to CWA Our Power Radio Show with where our voices build power. Stay tuned, stay strong, and keep fighting for equity and justice in the workplace and beyond. Up next is T with Tay. Good morning, Tay.
Good morning. And before I start, of course, I cannot stop saying congratulations to Nikki and Domini. I know that is big. I know that was a lot of work put into that. So shout out to you all again. Thank you for taking lead, stepping up. All right, y'all. So Here is another segment of Tea with Tay, and I promise you the tea is hot today and it's boiling. So, at the banquet table of nature, of power, politics, of progress, there are no reserved seats. You get what you can take and you keep what you can hold. But here's the catch: you can't take or hold anything without organization. That's not just a Philip Randolph talking, that's a warning. And baby, I hope you are listening because there's an attack on labor movement and it's loud. It is legal and it is lethal, especially if you're poor, black, brown, queer, disabled, an immigrant, or just plain working class. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about how they're cutting diversity, equity, and inclusion like it's dessert at a buffet banquet. Calling us calling us woke like awareness is a disease. And this is the one I'll never understand. What's wrong with knowing? Writing right to work laws with the same pen they use to cancel lunch breaks. Privatizing schools and calling it choice while your babies, our babies, my babies lose history, culture, and creativity. Telling us wait our turn while they stack the deck against us, flip the board, and move the finish line. We will never catch up. Now here's where I want to get all the way into it. If you're waiting for permission to get organized, you've already lost. If you're waiting for someone else to save your job, your rights, or your community, you better look in the mirror. That person is you. That person is you. I'm calling in everybody right now. I mean, our unions, our elders, young radicals, aunties, Gen Z TikTok warriors, Gen X survivors, faith leaders, our LGBTQIA plus communities, day laborers, moms, dad, folks with titles, folks without titles, but folks who have power. It's time for us to step up. It's time to speak up because silence is exactly what they're counting on. We've been silent for so long. Look where it's gotten us. Here's the truth. They're scared. They're scared of unity. They're scared of our memory. They're scared of our vote. They're scared of our voice. Scared that if we actually organize across all race, class, gender, culture, we become a force they cannot buy, they cannot stop, and they cannot bury. So I'm asking you, are you showing up at your union meetings and speaking, or are you just scrolling by? Are you mentoring somebody younger? Are you gatekeeping the grind? Are you letting folks misgender, underpay, or overlook, and you're silent about it? Or are you flipping the table, rewriting the rules, and saving a seat for the next one in line? You gain what you fight for. You keep what you defend, and you lose what you ignore. This ain't about jobs. This is about justice. This is about joy. This is about the future we refuse to give away. So today's tea, hot, honest, and full of purpose. If you're ready to stand up and not just sip, let me hear you say it loud wherever you are. Our power is union power, and our table has room for everyone willing to fight. This is another episode or segment of Tea with Tay, where truth has no filter and power always pours back into the people. Stay bold, stay organized, and stay ready because they're coming for everything, and we are not letting them have it. So, see y'all next week, and back to you, Errol.
I don't know if we're going to see you next week after all of that. That was powerful. No reserved seats, no silent mouths. That's Tea with Tay. And I can't wait till next week when she comes back with her Tea with Tay. That water does boil. You're listening to KYOK 1140 AM and the all new 106.5 FM. If you're on the go, you can take us with you by visiting kyokradio.org. All right. Thank you guys so much. As we come down to the final minutes of the show, our union brothers, sisters, and siblings at the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette have been outside for 31 months on the picket lines. And yet, while they are striking, they are still churning out the news with facts for you and me. Let's show our support to them by making sure we subscribe to unionprogress.com. Once you subscribe to this free publication, how about going over and donating to their strike fund at cwa.org/PPG donate. And I just heard someone shout, "We are one." That's right. We are one. Again, we want to thank Domini as well as Nikki for coming in today and talking about everything that they are doing with the CBTU, starting the chapter in Richmond, Virginia, as well as working in CBTU. And again, congratulations to the both of you for the job well done in starting the chapter in Richmond, Virginia. June is National Cancer Survivors Month. Take action and learn more today. When you take time to learn about others around you, you're making the world a better place. Awareness campaigns serve as a powerful reminder that there are steps we all must take in looking out for loved ones, the people in our community, and those who have been impacted. It's time to take one big step together and make a change. An hour is not long enough to be with you, and a week is too long to be away from you. You have been tuned into the CWA Human Rights Hour Power broadcast. I hope something you heard today has inspired you to take action toward creating positive change in the world. Every person has the power to make a difference, no matter how small. And by working together, we can create a world where human rights are respected and valued. So I encourage each of you in the listening audience to reflect on your role in promoting human rights to effect change in your communities and beyond. Know that you are not alone in your quest for a more just and equitable world. When faced with injustice, it can be easy to lose hope and give up. But remember, justice may be slow, like the truth, but when it finally comes, it will stand. Until next Thursday, 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, right here on KYOK 1140 a.m. and the all new 106.5 KYOKradio.org. See you next week.